Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from. And we very for Women in TICON Africa, it's truly a pleasure to have you join us for today's session. We are actually talking about
Thank you.
practical strategies to advance our careers, you and I, and drive meaningful impact. This is a topic that speaks to all of us, whether you're starting out in your career, navigating growth, stepping into leadership. And today's conversation is actually designed to be both practical and very, very personal. My name is Malabo Kanda Victor. You can call me Lebo. I'm in Botswana with Botswana IT Society and also serving as the Vice Chairperson for Women in Tikwan Africa and the Chairperson for Women in ICT Botswana chapter. To start us off, I want to first acknowledge and invite our Women into Corn Africa chairperson, Elizabeth Chabaluka Masache from Malawi, to give us a brief, warm welcome and set the tone for today's session. Elizabeth, the floor is all yours.
Thank you so much, Lebo, and thank you, Zipporah. It's good to have you all this morning, this afternoon. For me, this is a great pleasure to have all of you, and I'm truly delighted to see everyone joining this morning. The masterclass this afternoon is something that we've been looking forward to, considering that in today's technology in the business landscape, it's not enough for us to just participate, but we know that we need to intentionally position ourselves so that we can grow, we can lead, and we can also create impact. So the session this morning is very important because we know it will provide us with practical knowledge and also the experience that we can learn from you, Zipporah, and the inspiration that we need every day just to help us keep pushing boundaries in our careers and industries. I am personally delighted because this is our first masterclass for the year, and it is good to have you to start with us this year. And apart from that, I would also want to appreciate the incredible team that are always making these master classes possible. Special thank you to you, Lebo, for hosting today's session and for the continued leadership that you continue to provide to us as a vice chairperson in this Women in TICON. And apart from that, I also want to appreciate Gift for organizing and coordinating this event. We truly appreciate because we know there's a lot of work and we truly value the effort that you always put. And thanks to Joshua and the technical team for also ensuring that this is running smoothly behind the scenes. We really appreciate your support. That makes us possible to connect, learn, and also engage effectively. But to everyone that is joining today, I want to encourage you to take these masterclasses seriously, and let's make sure that we continue to learn and we also continue to grow in our own spaces. We know you are investing so much of your time just for the growth. So let's make sure that we engage actively, ask questions, and also take away practical insights that might come during this masterclass. Let's make sure that we are able to apply whatever we get, the insights that we get in our professional journey. But other than that, thank you so much. It's my great pleasure to welcome everybody that is in this room. Thank you so much. Back to you, Lebo.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Um, Very warm words indeed, encouraging and inspiring. But also, thank you very much for your continued leadership in leading and advancing women across the continent on the ICT ecosystem. But before we start and getting to our guest speaker, allow us to do some bit of housekeeping. Remember, today this is an interactive session and we aim to keep it engaging. And feel free to drop your questions in the chat. We will get to those towards the end. Kindly ensure that your microphones are also muted unless you are invited to speak. The session is being hosted as a safe, empowering space so we can encourage each other with openness, respect, and active participation. Also, at the end of our conversation, once all has been wrapped up, we have a lovely interview of one of our own who won an award in 2023. She's a woman. She's Rowena Turinawe. She won the 2023 Young ICT Professional Award. I'm proud to mention that she's one of the first women to win an award for TICON Africa Awards. Please watch that video, and hopefully that will encourage many to nominate their fellow professionals in their countries, both business and professionals. The awards are still open, and you can visit our website at TICON Africa to search for the categories to nominate. So we look forward to those nominations that you'd throw in towards the TICON Africa Awards. Now, setting the tone, today's conversation is actually looking at three components: your professional growth, branding, strategic planning skills, and most importantly, how these together help to drive meaningful impact, not just in your communities or across Africa, but careers on a personal basis. It is my absolute pleasure to actually introduce our speaker for today, Zipporah Maubane. Zipporah, I'm hoping I'm actually pronouncing your name well, Maubane.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Thank you.
Thank you for the welcome.
Can I read your bio, Zipporah?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Zipporah is the head of communications and advocacy at the African Union Development Agency, which we call NEAPAD. She leads efforts to advance the African Union's Agenda 2063, its aspirations and goals. She focuses on promoting the continent's transformation through strategic communications, resource mobilization, and advocacy, driving engagement on key initiatives that aim to make Africa a global powerhouse. And I'm looking forward to the conversation. With over 28 years of experience, we have so much to learn from Zipporah because she has held pivotal roles across various sectors. And prior to joining AUDA NEPAD, she served as the Chief Communications and Marketing Officer at Zutari, Group Executive for Marketing and Communications at Altron, where she was responsible for building and managing the brand across multiple markets, driving digital transformation narratives, and positioning the company as a leader in technology solutions in Africa. Before that, she led communications at the Coca-Cola Company in Southern and East Africa, focusing on corporate reputation, sustainability, brand PR, stakeholder relations. Additionally, Zipporah has held leadership roles at Sasol, UKDPD, overseeing integrated marketing, communications, and brand strategy. Her expertise is strategic communications, stakeholder engagement, and brand positioning, making her a vital leader in shaping Africa's development narrative on a global scale. So she will be sharing with us her real lived experiences from personal growth to continental influence and how her journey has translated into practical strategies that all of us can apply. Zipporah, welcome. We are truly honored to have you with us today.
Thank you so much. It's an absolute pleasure to join the TICON Africa community, particularly to be the first. Really, I feel honored being the first to participate in the Women Masterclass chapter of TICON. And I hope that, what I'm going to share today will be valuable.
Gladly. And this is the first for 2026, which really marks a great milestone for the year. So, Zipporah, your journey spans personal growth, leadership, and continental impact. Can you take us back to a defining moment that has shaped how you approached your career today?
So I've had many defining moments in my career. I started working just at the dawn of South Africa's democracy. So my journey into corporate had many layers of, culture and transformation that was not only going on in organizations that I worked in from a racial perspective, but also in the country itself. So I must say that in addition to shaping my career and investing in my craft of marketing and communications, I think I learned quite a lot with regards to working with people from different cultures. And I found that could be a driver of your success in your career, or it can be a limitation. So it's so important to be able to really work with people from different cultures. And being at the African Union Development Agency right now, I think it's just a culmination of all that I've experienced in terms of cultural intelligence throughout my career. So I think to really focus our discussion, Lebo, I think I will need to start the presentation unless you have other questions to ask before we start. But I find that, there are small defining moments if we are looking, every single day or maybe every single year. There are those little defining moments that affirm us, right? Those moments that tell us that we are on the right track. Those moments that are telling us that it's okay, you can start over again tomorrow. Those moments that are telling us that you don't need to be perfect. Good is also good enough. So if we are looking, we will get those moments, we'll get those signals that are geared to really affirm us, particularly women, considering the challenges we face in the workplace, which is still largely male-dominated. So let's make time to look around and journal those little gut feeling experiences, those little moments that are telling us that something is right or something is not going right. Yeah. Thank you.
I'm happy to actually hear more on your presentation because I think you've already set the tone for what you're going to share with us. Can I ask you to start presenting your PowerPoint, and we can? I'll be interrupting you here and there, but
Okay.
the floor is all yours, Zipporah.
Okay. Thank you so much. And once again, I would like to say, for those who have joined, thank you. It's so important for me to share my experiences through these masterclass. I will make this available to you because I believe in sharing. There's no point me keeping all my experiences to myself. So I've got about 6 slides, and they have different little nuggets, of information that you can take with you. So I'm going to move faster so that at the end we can have time for Q&As, right? So each slide I'll probably focus on 2 or 3 nuggets and give my personal experiences with respect to that particular point on the slide. Yeah. Let's go to slide 1. Okay, so here I've just summarized my thoughts so that we are clear at the end, just from the get-go, in terms of what you're going to leave with today. We are going to talk about personal growth and how we need to invest deeply in our craft, in our profession. I'm talking across the board. You're a teacher, you're a nurse, you're a communications professional or an engineer. It is important to continuously look into what is new with respect to my profession and how can I improve myself. And then the other part that goes into personal growth is around nurturing your whole self. And I'll go into that when we get to the slide about personal growth. And the other bit is about, discomfort. Yeah. Growth. Now we're talking about professional growth or personal growth, it normally comes when you are being challenged or when you're experiencing discomfort. And we don't all like that, right? Because it's discomfort. It's taking us from our comfort zone. But there is this expression that says growth begins at the end of your comfort zone. So we'll go into that as well. So that's the bit about personal growth. Strategic planning. So strategic planning, I look at it with respect to what you can contribute to a strategic plan of the organization. Here, it's so very important that you align with the strategy of your organization, right? And, in delivering on strategy, in executing on strategy, it's so important to be able to be feedback fit, right? Because you will not execute the strategy or help others execute the strategy alone. You will always be working with other people, and you must step on each other's toes, or someone can feel like, oh, you're trying to do their work and so forth. So that ability to build the feedback fitness in yourself is very crucial. And I'll get back into that with a personal example. The last part on strategic planning is to design your career deliberately. So strategize for your own career. Have some timelines and goals that you want to achieve, and grow into them, and understand the kind of temperament, the skills, the kind of character and personality you need to be able to see through your own individual plan. Now we get into personal branding. Personal branding, it's so spoken about everywhere, and most of the time it's actually not what people say. Oh, you need to be seen everywhere, to be out there. No, that's not personal branding. Personal branding is the experience that people have with you. It's what people say when you're not in the room. A successful personal branding is when people recommend you to those who are holding the keys to the doors of opportunity. We'll go in depth into that, into personal branding. Let's go into the next slide now and go deep on personal growth. Okay, so personal growth has got all these 6 nuggets, right? So it's about deep career investment. I touched on that. Also, embracing new environments as you grow in your career or with your business. Build meaningful peer networks, navigating cultural differences, nurturing your whole self, and saying yes to stretch assignments. Okay, let me give examples on embrace new environments. I'll talk about stepping into African Union Development Agency almost 14 months ago. Completely new environment for me. I've spent, I think, 28 years of my waking life in corporate. Now here I am in an environment that deals about policies and challenges that the continent face and all that. It's completely different from what I know. So how do you make sure that when you go into a new environment that you actually become successful and you stay? And you stay and you can, you can achieve your goals. It's very difficult, I can tell you that. At times, I wonder to myself, was this a good idea to go into this environment? Maybe I should have stuck with what I know, which is working for big companies. But I can tell you something. If you take an approach of, here, I'm going to be a learner first. I'm going to observe and learn, and I'm going to study in my spare time the strategy, the plan, the mandate of this organization. What does that mean? That means that at times you have to play small. At times you have to play dumb. At times you have to, bite your tongue. because you have a strategy. Your strategy is to spend maybe 6 months or a year observing, learning, and studying where the company, what the organization wants to do. But I would like to say that there's also time for you to say, now, this is the end of it. I've spent the time, I invested in learning, observing. Now I need to execute and I need to stop playing small and dumb. Okay, so that's how you can adapt in a new environment. Because if you do the reverse, this is something that I did in another role. You come in and quickly you want to deliver, you will come across barriers. People will just feel like you are antagonizing them, like you are undermining, like you don't value the fact that they've been with the organization that you have just joined for over 20 years, 15 years, and so forth. So it is important to observe, learn, and for a time, play small. But that can be forever. At some point, you have to move on and really now, once you've understood, deliver and be who you truly are in terms of your self-worth and your value. And I would like to say also go deep on the point about saying yes to stretch assignment. So a stretch assignment is when perhaps your line manager or your CEO is asking you to do something that is completely out of your scope of work or your role. So those like stretch assignments are there because somebody believes in you, that you can execute and deliver on this new thing that they're asking you. So I'll give you an example. So I worked for this organization as an executive, marketing, communications, stakeholder management, and the CEO said, you know what, I'd like you to look after investor relations. And I was like, oh, I've never done that. And he said, okay, go and find out how you can do it. So I researched and I went to the Investor Relations Institute and I took some courses and I started to do very brilliant work around investor relations for the company. So, and now, when it comes to investor relations, I'm absolutely brilliant because I said yes to that which I was not qualified to do. So the personal growth should not be smooth, right? It should be smooth and it should be bumpy, smooth and bumpy, so that you see the growth, Okay. Okay, so the other part I can go into is around navigating cultural differences. So, we are a TICON Africa. Huh? It means that we have East Africa, South, West. No, so there's different cultures, different languages, and so on. Being able to adapt and be able to respect people from everywhere in this wonderful continent of ours is a strength, So when you're at conferences that are Africa-wide in terms of, their nature, leave the South African groups, leave the Zambian groups, leave the Botswana group, go and find out, mix and get cards from other people from Egypt, other people from Gambia, from Mali, interact. It doesn't come naturally, but like I say, where there's no comfort, there won't be growth. So get yourself out of that comfort zone and go and reach out to people, introduce yourself and see how you can maintain the relationship and work together. It's very important for your personal growth. So we can go to the next slide. This next slide is going deep on strategic planning. I would like to emphasize that it is so important that when you're sitting at your desk doing your work, that you know in your heart and on paper, in an agreement with your line manager, that the work that you're doing is helping to drive organizational strategic goals. This means that you should find the strategy of the organization. You should ask for it and see what the CEO, what the executive, what the board would like to achieve. right? In some organizations, they do strategy sessions, everybody goes, and when they come back, they know exactly the 5 key things that needs to be achieved in that particular year. But if that does not happen in your environment, seek the strategy document, ask your leader, or go to the website and find out what the organization says it wants to achieve and align what you're doing with that. Yeah. Because those who get promoted are the ones who are seen to be literally driving the organizational agenda. Yeah? And check what the competitors are doing. Organizations that are similar to yours, what are they doing in terms of their strategy? And have conversations with your line manager. You know, be innovative, be deliberately innovative. And I like this part that it says innovation is not reserved for technologists only. You can be innovative in your space. And when you come up with that innovative idea, own it and present it with confidence to a line manager and say, you see, I've solved a problem. This is an innovation I came up with. Don't allow anybody to take it away from you. Okay, so innovation is important. I will give this example where I came up with so much innovation in one organization, but I didn't own that innovation. And guess what? Somebody, a fellow executive, owned that innovation as theirs. And then they were shining there, and I was looking and thinking, but that's my idea. So as soon as you come up with an idea that is innovative, that is impacting on where the organization is going, take it and present it to your leaders so that they know it came from you. Own it. Okay. The other part, know your worth. In terms of the strategy you have for yourself and advancement in terms of your career, understand the value you bring. You are not being arrogant, but you are being factual, right? It's the value that you're bringing. If you can't do that work, nobody can in the organization. So there's a reason why you have been brought on board or hired. Yeah. It's not arrogance, it is professional clarity. You know yourself. So always articulate your contribution confidently and then advocate for opportunities that match your level. Do not play small forever. If you're given a task about compiling a list of so and so and so, when actually you should be telling so and so and so what to do, no, that is not a task that is in line with your level, you know. So say it and find ways of how you can contribute to that task in line with your level. And let me be clear, be patient to experience the different levels. When you're starting up, start and learn and learn. And when you're experiencing growth, seek opportunities that are matching your growth. Don't be shy about it. I mean, this whole thing of people, and I've seen them in the organization who will be so visible with the CEO, they're there. Meanwhile, they're not contributing much. Let me tell you something. Contribute to the strategy of the organization meaningfully, because that will be your credit and it cannot be taken away from you. And it is on paper, it is on inbox, it is in your performance plan. Those who are high on visibility with the CEO and proximity and with the bosses or the line managers, at some point they will run out of steam because what they are doing is not sustainable. It doesn't have substance, it fades. So substance without visibility, man, it it just stalls. So be very, very intentional about aligning with the organizational strategic goals. Be aware of who is doing what. It will be so nice for you when you're having a conversation with a line manager and say, so maybe your competitor or your an organization similar to yours, oh, I saw their CEO launched a product or CEO was in this, doing this and that. Maybe we should also try and do that next time. Yeah. And design intentional career milestones like I said. Be aware of your growth, and make it out. And also back to your language. Languages I find, having been one for many years, I find that they are understanding. Approach them with what you would like to achieve. Yeah. And they will try and pull, you know, especially when you're performing, of course. Line managers will always try and pull the strings for you so that you can proceed to the next level. Okay. Did I talk about seeking uncomfortable conversation? No, I don't think I did. Yeah. So this, we know we are Africans, we have this natural inclination for respect in terms of how we approach our line managers, our CEOs, our bosses, and all that. And at times, our natural inclination for this deep respect prevents us from saying the truth in terms of work and so forth. So I always have this idea and trick that I give to people that I mentor and coach. I say, if something is being done and is not professionally correct in line with what you do, ask your boss and say, please, can I give my professional advice on the issue? It's an uncomfortable conversation, but how you frame it will disarm the person you're talking to. And then the once you say, oh, okay, I hear you, but can I give my professional opinion? They'll say, okay, let's hear. Because you qualified already your opinion. That is just not an opinion. It's a professional opinion in line with what you have studied for. And these uncomfortable conversations are normally the ones that gains you a lot of respect from people who work with you, and pushing back and saying, no, from my professional perspective, 1, 2, 3, from what I know from my experience, which is unique to you, this is 1, 2, 3, this is, yeah. Okay, so let's go to the slide that talks about branding. Yes, personal branding. Okay. Being out there is not building a brand, but delivering on what you promise is when you start to build your brand. In this world, people overpromise, but when you are a person who promises, and if you can't deliver at a specific time that you promise, you go back to your boss and say, I'm sorry, I won't be delivered on this timeline. I will do this, on a particular timeline. It helps. I used to work with this particular CEO, and he was like, if you, on delivery, you have to deliver on that as agreed, right? So we were organizing like a huge customer event, and, I knew that things were not going to be delivered on time. And we were doing such innovative things. We were building an app that the customers can register on and all that. So things got delayed. And remember, mind you, we had already sent out the invitations that this event is going to be held on let's say, the 26th of March. And, counting back and checking together with the team, we realized it's not going to work because of the delays we were experiencing with the suppliers. But, I just got up the courage. It's an uncomfortable conversation, but I knew that I have a brand here to protect. I'm a person of my word. No, I went to the CEO. I said, look, I'm here with something that you're not going to like, but it's got to be said because it will impact the entire organization. And I indicated to him, this are the challenges we're facing, and we would like to move out the event from 26th of March to 15th of April. Guess what? He was so happy. He was like, oh, you know what? Thank you so much for coming to me. Do exactly that, because, wow, had you not come to me and we work with the 26th of March and we get eggs thrown on our faces, it would have been a disaster. and you and I would be having a different conversation around, not having fulfilled what you promised. So what I'm saying is that be a person of your word, and when you know you can't keep your word, be open to discussing with your line manager, right? And guard your reputation every single day. But before I go there, I want to talk about that. There's a point here. Okay, maybe we'll come across it. Okay, let's talk about your reputation. You build your reputation, it compounds over a period of time. And it's about how people experience you, right? If you say, okay, you're working with somebody else and you promise you'll give them the report on this particular, deliver it, please. Okay, right. And the other reputation driver is how you get into the culture of the organization. Are you a person who is into cliques, groups that are driving toxic culture in the organization? If you are part of that, try to get out of it, because that is not doing anything good for how people experience you. You don't want people to experience you as somebody who's always bringing gossip, right? You want people to respect you for your being a professional. Okay, so toxicity doesn't build anyone's a brand. Yeah. And remember that we are working with people. Tomorrow they may turn against you. So do things that you know that if people catch you doing them, they're not going to cry foul. Okay. So there's that. Guard your reputation. Show the same professionalism in a corridor conversation as you do in a boardroom conversation. Remember what I said? Treat people the same. When we go to work, we are just there for one thing only, which is to work and earn a salary. Relationships that are formed at work, some of them are just on the surface and are not deep enough for you to be that person who's always attacking people's characters. No, 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 no. Most of us, we are at work because of the proximity. We are in one building. We are working around the same company. We are just there. So how you carry yourself, be consistent in terms of how you treat people. How you say hello to the CEO should be the same way as how you say hello to somebody who's at reception or somebody who's serving everybody tea. So it's very, very, very important to be consistent in terms of how people understand. Of course, there'll be times where something rattles you up and you are upset and all that, but try as much as you can not to be mean or, to harm people's feelings, okay? And what is the other one? Okay, so all these points, I touched on them in one way or the other. So on your personal branding, remember, branding is how people experience you in the corridor, in the boardroom, when you're out with the strategy session, the promises you give in terms of your deliveries, the stakeholders outside the organization as well, how they experience you. If you're having a supplier and you're treating it badly, what will they say about you when you're not there? They're going to say the negative things. Even at work, if you're rough with people, if you're not giving good guidance, people cannot approach you. Look, I'm not saying you should be like weak, right? But you don't need to be mean for people who work with you or for you to deliver the results. In fact, it is the opposite. Right? Create an environment where people can come to you and approach you and be able to perform to your standards as their leader. So with yourself, if you're feeling you are working with a line manager who is really not helping you in terms of delivering to the best of your ability, raise it with somebody that you trust inside the organization or outside the organization, so that you can have now a strategy on how you work with this person, because you have to work with them, but they're not creating an environment for you to flourish. So take the charge and find out how you can navigate the challenge. Don't let it pull you down. Don't let it stress you. Don't let it keep you in hospitals because of depression and anxiety. Okay, so that's very, very important. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Yes, here is the key slide, okay? In organizations, we have a culture. So if you come into a new organization, there's a culture that you're going to find there, okay? So you observe because you're new. Okay, that's how people do things. So you check your values as a person, what you believe in. So what's happening in the organization? Is it in line with your values? Is it in line with what you believe? Okay, give me a second. I just want to touch.
I love the fact that you mentioned a yes stretched assignment. You know, TICON
Yes.
Africa, since its inception, it has been increasing in African countries
Mm,
where we have powerful speakers from across the continent sharing
mm,
thoughts and ideas and their experiences, where each could collaborate, share ideas on how to innovate, and also how they are able to lead in ICT. Of course, we do have different cultural backgrounds, but what I found quite interesting in part of what you were mentioning was we have this natural inclination for deep respect for supervisors or those that we respect, which is
mhm.
inculcated in the African cultural ecosystem. And the fact
Yeah.
that you're bringing it out that we need to, you know, be take the initiative to say, I'm
Mm,
here, I can do it. And say it
mm,
out, be strategic in how you say it out so that you earn that respect and recognition that you can also
mhm.
contribute, which also that contribution translates to you growing, intentionally growing. But
Yes,
Zipporah, before you
absolutely.
get into the slide here, do you mind if I
Okay.
just draw a question for you? Because you mentioned career growth, and then you
Mhm.
said one should tap into being open to opportunities.
Yes.
It's a catch-22. How do you have a clear strategy to your skills planning and then also being open to opportunities? How do you strike a balance?
Okay, so let's suppose that you are intentional now about your career and you're saying for the next 3 years, I am going to work as a program officer or a brand officer. And I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to get feedback from everyone. And you do that, right? And after 3 years, there's no opportunity in your organization for you to go anywhere. Okay, and you become proactive. You ask your line manager, can you maybe recommend that I spend time learning in that division? You know, if you're in brand, you say, okay, you like to go to sales, or to strategy and spend maybe 6 months there. And your line manager says, okay, I'll also find somebody who can come and experience your work and so forth. So that's smooth, that's perfect. Or you find that there's an opportunity that opens up internally in strategy. You move now, you apply for it. You're moving from brand, you go into strategy, right? Okay, that's great. But you find that those opportunities in some instances do not come up in your organization. But when you go on LinkedIn, you see opportunities with other organizations similar to yours. You apply. So what you're doing, you're just taking you're moving out of an organization. You're not abandoning your career aspirations. You're going to continue on that trajectory now with another organization where you're now going to need the skills of adapting, the skills of learning, understanding the strategy of the organization, building relationships with people, learning your line manager, and so forth. So, and still doing your professional work as an expert. So you're taking you've opened yourself to working for a similar organization to yours, but now you're gaining a promotion. It's at a higher level than where you were, and that's how growth comes up. You know, people who are CEOs today, they started at the very bottom and they opened themselves to promotions and and getting out, trying other organizations and so forth. Okay, so that's exactly what I meant. Did I answer your question?
Yes, it's actually quite broad. We would mess out on getting questions from other participants, but I think it's a conversation that we can tap into. Hopefully, you'll be seeing you at the TICON Africa conference, and then we can have more around it because personal growth is very, very important. I hope you don't mind, Zipporah. I want to grab a question from the audience as well.
Yes, please.
Johnny Bell 98 there. Um, Yes, thank you for sharing that, Dieda. What sort of presentation would you suggest for presenting innovation? And do you recommend more direct routes or to stick to the organizational norms? It's around skills planning as well.
Yeah. So how do you suggest innovation, right, into the organization? So innovation normally is designed to solve a problem, right? Am I correct?
Yes.
Or to improve systems or to to bring a new way of doing things, right? So
Yes.
frame it around the problem that your innovation is trying to solve. Put together a slide or two. This is the challenge, and this is how I am suggesting the solution with this innovation. It's just a simple conversation. Approach your manager or your line manager or the innovation lead in the organization and say, oh, I've been thinking about this challenge that we have with respect to 1, 2, 3. And I think I've got an idea in terms of how we can solve it. Believe me, a line manager or somebody senior in the organization will give you their time so that you can present it.
I hope Janibel is happy with your answer. I'm quite content. You mentioned as well the core values and individual needs to actually progress. And you gave very personal examples of how you treaded across your different roles and positions, which also included the technical, the governance, and the soft skills. There is that conflict where interest is, where how do I prioritize, how do I integrate these. What was your turning point? Where do you find balance, or how did you find balance? Maybe you can even share an experience just so that we can apply it to ourselves as well.
Yeah. So I will talk to matters of governance. And I'll give you an example straight away. And I was discussing with a colleague of mine yesterday, and there's a project we are working on, and things are just like not clear around the budgets and things like that. And my colleague came to me and was like, I'm uncomfortable with this project. Can we look at it this way? Because now things are changing, and when it's time for audit queries, we need to be in a position where we are not caught up with this mess. So she and I are handling it, and we are going to have a solution to this because she flagged it up with me. So as a person, do you believe in, and it's a question that you should ask yourself, am I a person that believes in corruption? Like, am I a person that will steal at $5 of the organization? Ask yourself that question. And what will that mean for my career? What will that mean for my future if I'm caught? Because you can do it once, twice, three. And if you get caught, you're ruined. You'll never be able to get a job anyway. So Ask yourself those deep questions. And if you don't believe in corruption, don't get involved. It doesn't matter how, where, or who says it, or whether it's your CEO. Don't participate and stick with it. So these are matters of values and governance. When you know that, oh, okay, my value is to be a person of integrity. My value is to be somebody who's accountable. Okay, so it means that in my work day to day, I must be accountable for my results. I must not throw people under the bus. It means you're a person of integrity. You're bringing your values, how you were raised, and things that you believe in, you're bringing them into the workspace. And you're looking at issues of governance, money, how you interact with stakeholders, what you say about your own organization. Are you going around saying, oh, the people there are corrupt, or I can't wait to leave? No, cannot say that. This is an institution that is paying you a salary every month. So you need to look into your values, what you believe in, and the values of the organization. If they align, it's a perfect spot, and you can take people, you can really go to HR and say, but this person doesn't live in line with the values of the organization that we have published and written on our website. And HR will hold that person and responsible. And what I see, 20 years as I was much younger in the working world, people were very scared. But now I see that, with this generation, people are very vocal, and they call managers up to say, you are not living the values of the organization. The organization says we should be respectful to one another. But the way you talk to us as a line manager is a lot of disrespect. So please, can you stop? So young people, and I suppose many on the line are younger, you call things out, right? Because if an organization says it will not tolerate disrespect, and your line manager acts in a manner that is not respectful, call it out. So
That's
I've brought in line, brought in the values, the values of the organization, and governance, how you can hold, yourself responsible in line with things like accounting responsibilities, reporting, and so forth. Yeah.
what you just did was just summarize the meaningful impact an individual can bring for themselves and the organization beyond titles and their achievements, which
Mm-hmm.
translates to one's personal growth. It's like an
Mm-hmm.
identity that one could proudly carry to say, I am making an impact by being intentional in my approach, in my aligning with the organizational agenda and
Values. Mm-hmm.
and the values. Yes, yes, the values as well. It's nice that you are painting that picture that the younger generation is actually challenging the status quo. I remember from our
Yes.
past conversation, you said we need to challenge the status quo. And it's very
Mm-hmm.
critical because still in the background, we still have those limitations of cultural
Mm-hmm.
drawbacks or rather barriers. And I've loved your conversation, and I'm hoping our audience also have enjoyed this conversation as well. And looking forward to getting more from you. Zipporah, your LinkedIn, I don't know if you'd be open for others to reach out to you for nuggets that you've been sharing with us. Due to time, I have
Yes.
to stop your presentation.
Oh, okay. All right. Yes, I'm open for people to connect with me on LinkedIn, or you can follow me. It's okay. I accept connections. Yeah. Mm.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I see that we do not have any more questions on our chat. Zipporah, those were
Can
powerful
do we have
insights.
5 minutes? Do we have 5 minutes?
I can give you a
Or we
minute,
need to stop
Zipporah. Is
now?
that okay?
Another minute?
A minute, if
Okay.
that's enough.
How many?
A minute.
A minute. Okay. Right. So I would like to say to everybody as something that you can take away, that you are your best asset, you know, and your career also is part of what makes you, right? But you are not only that, you have family, you have friends. Invest in those relationships as well. And find people that can be your champion, outside of work and, inside the organization, people who can vouch for you. They may not necessarily be in your division, but this will be people who you've worked with parallelly, and they know that you're a person that you're a person of your weight, you're a strong brand. Have relationships with those people so that they can help you in terms of issues of promotion and issues of opportunities that comes. Then you're in line because there's somebody who's senior that can vouch for you, but also vouch for yourself at every given opportunities, right? I know at times they say, "Oh, you say so yourself." Yes, but you've said it. Okay, you've said it, and say it in a manner that's polite and not arrogant, a manner that brings professional clarity, and say to the next person that you understand your value as a person. Thank you very much.
Zipporah, thank you for sharing your journey so authentically and practically. We truly appreciate your time and wisdom. And I say, I wish not to take away what you've said. It's so much that I cannot put it in one sentence. But the only thing I can say is, in summary to myself, when you say, my career is not just a path, but it's a platform. I should use it to create impact that outlives even myself. And to our audience, thank you for joining us and being part of this important conversation. Our take home, let's grow intentionally, support
Yes.
one another, treat everybody equally, and
Mhm.
build meaningful impact across Africa. We're looking forward to seeing you at the TICON Africa Conference 2026 in September. For those yes stretch assignments where we need to speak where we are uncomfortable, please
Mhm.
have a wonderful afternoon. We do have a video for Rowena Turinawe, one of our 2023 award winners. Please, we look forward to seeing you once again soon. Zipporah, thank you very much. Let's watch the video. Until we meet again. Bye.
Most welcome. Thanks.
Conferences like these are pivotal to us making a change and catching up with the rest of the world. So what I'm looking forward to the most are the conversations around what can I learn from you, what can I get from you, what can you get from me, and how do we help each other better each other. Winning that award sort of just showed me that I can still be young and do daring things, because the award was for Africa, not just for Uganda. Second female founder in my country with this kind of license is huge for me, it's massive for me. So now I'm starting a fintech with young people, with women and with girls, and we're doing different things, and I think it's part of me winning that award gave me the courage. So my call for action to any company, anybody that wants to take a conversation, not just a conversation, but to actually take an action forward in terms of building Tech Africa, I would invite you to come, because we have discussions that actually matter.